I'm in the game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
He don't want
circles
no
around.
smoke. He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million he done made.
Okay then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was effing with him. He wasn't
better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love DISSED. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got...
The second those words left Jim's mouth, the vibe shifted instantly. 50 Cent didn't clap back with a diss or throw shade with names. Nah, he let his Instagram do the talking. And what did he post? A throwback federal transcript that had fans straight up spiraling. He didn't need to say a single word, just drop the file and let the streets figure it out. Now wiretaps are trending, old videos are resurfacing, and Jim, he's in the gym barking out bars like he's training for a rap war behind bars. But this drama isn't just about Nas, and it ain't just ego either. This feels like 50 reminding everybody in the industry that he's still untouchable. And maybe, just maybe, some people got real lucky dodging certain legal problems. Jim might have lit the match thinking he had something to prove, but now it looks like he accidentally opened Pandora's box. See, whenever Jim brings up Nas, it always hits different. That tension between them ain't new. This ain't just another generational diss. This mess goes all the way back to 2002, back when Nas got on Hot 97 and randomly torched Cam'ron's album, calling it trash without even giving a reason.
I saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy
big
right there.
hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying, Nas is like a god.
In my Nas. But remember, Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Yes.
So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you gotta realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different.
That one moment flipped a switch for Dipset, and Jim dove in headfirst. From that day forward, it was war on wax. Nas and Dipset trading shots on mixtapes. Jim took it personal. He even threatened to smack the kufi off Nas and kept the same wild energy in tracks like We Fly High. This was bigger than music. It was personal. But here's the twist. Jim always claimed he respected Nas. Just last year, he wasn't throwing shade at all. That admiration turned sideways real fast. Everything flipped when Jim pulled up on Fat Joe and Jadakiss's podcast. And Joe stirred the pot hard. What could have just stayed a throwaway comment became a full-on rant. Jim didn't hold back. He leaned into it like he wanted the smoke. Then out of nowhere, Jim dropped what might be one of the wildest takes in recent hip-hop memory. He didn't just say he was more relevant than Nas, he said he was more influential. Yeah, more influential than Nas. The man from Queensbridge, the artist behind Illmatic, God's Son, King's Disease, the same guy still packing Madison Square Garden in his 50s. But Jim didn't stutter, not even a little. He stood on it, 10 toes down. That podcast didn't just stir controversy, it blew the lid off and tossed the pot straight into the fire. And just when people thought Jim was done, he showed up on another platform. This time it was Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Jim slid in ready to double down. Shannon wasn't letting it slide though. He kicked off the convo calmly. But what Jim said next made fans pause the episode. Just when folks thought it couldn't get more heated, Jim pulled out another wild take. He started bringing up their old beef from the early 2000s. He claimed he was a bigger Nas fan back in the day, but had now surpassed him when it came to street influence. Then he tried to spin it into fashion, calling Nas one of the flyest to ever do it. But he couldn't stop circling back to one point. Nas doesn't influence the streets like he does. Meanwhile, Jim started throwing shots at Shannon's outfit, acting salty for no reason. At this point, Ochocinco was just sitting back watching the chaos unfold. Then Jim accused Shannon of only inviting him for views, and that's when things got loud. Shannon snapped back. "This the biggest podcast you ever been on?" And just like that, Shannon went from host to full-on opponent. If Jim wanted smoke, Shannon was ready to bring it to the weight bench. Jim couldn't win the bar war, so he tried turning it into a gym flex. Challenging Shannon to a workout battle like that was gonna prove something. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was already working his angles. quietly moving behind the scenes while the label Individual One started floating around again. The internet going crazy in the comments. People were cracking up, calling out the madness. One fan said it best: Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jada should have done. Jones, you delusional. Shaw, thank you for speaking truth. And let's be real. Where were they during that first interview? But while the fans were laughing, 50 Cent was watching everything from the cut, dead serious. And just when it started to calm down, the internet found an old clip that made the whole thing even pettier. That clip? Pure disrespect. Nas didn't even acknowledge Jim back in the day, he laughed him off the stage. And now in 2025, that same dismissive energy is back. But it wasn't over yet. While Nas stayed low-key and Shannon got swole, someone else had their eyes on the chaos. And it was 50. As soon as he heard Jim say he was better than Nas, 50 didn't even flinch. He just laughed, grabbed some receipts from his endless petty archive, and reignited one of hip-hop's messiest rumors. That one caption, Individual One, had the internet howling, because real ones know what that means. It's not just a nickname, it's a straight-up federal tag pulled from a 2018 wiretap during Tekashi 6ix9ine's 9 Trey trial. Prosecutors played a recorded call and said someone, allegedly Jim, was instructing members to violate Tekashi for snitching. Jim was never officially charged and his voice wasn't confirmed, but blogs, fans, and especially 50 never forgot. And now, with Jim trying to bait Nas into a battle on every platform possible, 50 saw the opening and went for the kill, posting that old meme from his Instagram vault that had once been deleted. But this time, he left it up. The moment someone said, "So that's why they ain't pull him in?" the streets froze. Say it ain't so, Jimmy. Let's rewind to 2019. The Shade Room had dropped an update straight from Tekashi's courtroom drama. A verified courtroom reporter said it plain. Tekashi named Jim Jones as a member of the 9 Trey Bloods. That's when 50 jumped into the comments like he was waiting in the shadows. And then came that infamous clip. 50 Cent on camera, eyes wide, looking shook. He didn't even try to play it cool. He typed, "I'm afraid for my life. Jimmy is gang gang." The internet lost it. Memes were flying, but behind those jokes, Jim was twitching because things were getting too real. But here's where the script flips. 50 never had real beef with Nas. This was about Jim all along. Nas was just the bait. That moment gave 50 the perfect excuse to drag Jim back into the dirt. Their history goes deep. Back in 2007, when DISSED was falling apart from the inside, 50 pulled a savage move, bringing Jim and Joel Santana on stage during a G-Unit show. Right in the middle of DISSED's internal chaos, Cameron saw that as pure betrayal, like 50 was pouring salt in an open wound. Then in 2019, when Tekashi's trial popped off again, Jim's name came up again. This time as Individual One in a wiretapped call. Prosecutors even played the audio in court. Jim was never charged, but the streets didn't forget. And 50 definitely didn't forget. Jim saw 50's posts, every single one, and tried to play it cool. He dropped a vintage Bird Gang photo, full of Dipset drip and nostalgia. The caption? "Why you keep lying? LOL. I'm going back to sleep. Free Mill Matrix till it's reversed." That wasn't just a post. It was a jab. He was calling 50's whole campaign fake, like it was all smoke and mirrors. But Jim didn't stop there. He pulled out another flex pic from the gym, chest out, sneakers laced, and threw direct shade at Shannon Sharpe. The caption? "Somebody tell Shannon Sharpe, don't start ducking this challenge now. Gon' talk like a podcaster or gon' walk what you talk, 'cause my sneakers tied." He even added that Ocho Cinco said he didn't want to do it in public, so he offered to take it private. "As long as you the witness. We don't duck no challenges. Size don't matter where I'm from. Run it." While 50 was busy trolling from the sidelines, Jim was suiting up for war, physically and lyrically. But then he dropped one more post that made everybody's jaw drop. It read, "If you 40 and up arguing with me about Nas, you already lost." Fans weren't having it. Jim basically admitted the whole thing was bait. He said his streams go up every time his name goes viral, called it a lesson in marketing, then accused older artists of being stuck in the past. The caption said it all. "I said what I said. P.S. I will wrap circles around any artist from my era, whoever dares step in the booth. Bring some money with you, cause this game ain't free. We outside, in the field. Take that as you may." But here's the wildest part. Through all this noise, Nas stayed silent. No tweets, no bars, not even a side eye, just silence. Meanwhile, Jim's out here baiting every 5 minutes, calling himself more influential than a man who literally helped define hip-hop. If Nas does decide to clap back, it's not going to be some friendly bar for bar, it's going to be a lyrical execution. Right now, Jim's still poking, Nas is still ghost, and 50? He's in the shadows like a villain in a movie, pulling strings and waiting for the right moment to drop the next bomb. And if that wiretap ever leaks, the one that never made it to court, Jim might have just talked himself into something way bigger than a diss track, because while he's lifting weights and chasing clout, 50's been silent. Too silent. And when 50 gets quiet, that's when he strikes hardest. So now the real question is, will Nas finally step in and end this with one legendary verse? Or will 50 Cent do what he always does, stay 2 steps ahead and leak the truth when there's no more time to run? Let us know what you think. Is Jim reaching or really rising? Will Nas respond or keep watching from the throne? And is 50 about to drop another bomb? Smash that like button if you're here for the drama, hit subscribe for more celeb madness, and don't forget to drop your hottest take in the comments below. This war ain't over. It's just getting started.